Greetings, and thank you for joining us this weekend for another pixelated live stream. Oh, that's a good start. Sorry about that technical issue there, guys. Thank you for joining us this weekend for another, hopefully, wonderful pixelated live stream discussing a wonderful artist who I respect immensely, diving into some fun musical territory and looking at the pixels. So thank you for joining us today. And I'd like to introduce a wonderful, amazing musician, Tash Cox. Tash, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastically. I really enjoyed our conversation we had in our last live stream, delving into your wonderful, very rich musical career and diving into the pixels as well. And as I understand it, you've been acousticking lately as well.
Yes, we are getting ready to do a tour. So we got asked to do this really beautiful festival in Detroit, and the full band wasn't available to do the tour. So Scott and I decided we are going to try our hand at doing acoustic duo expression. So yes, that's been an adventure.
Acoustic duo expression, how intimate and bare bones. I love that. And let's just say a wonderful hi to the chat. We've got some wonderful people in the chat today. We've got the wonderful Raz. How are you doing? Jay, what's up? Dasum, lovely to see you. Horace, what's up? And Raz again. Hey, Raz. Double. Yes, we had a wonderful Discord party the other night with some of the X-RL7 crew. And that was a wonderful experience, chilling with some of the voice actors. And yeah, it's always nice to interact with our lovely communities. So, Tash, as well as diving into your wonderful career, because last time we basically got to the end of your band, Mankind is Obsolete. Really wonderful band. We didn't even touch Alice, which is insane. So I'd love to dive into that. But if you don't mind, before we do, I'd like to explore your introduction in the series as Miss Cleo and go back in time and have a little just reminder of your first pixelated appearance. How does that sound?
Sounds lovely. I was actually I was trying to remember this. I think this wasn't it pre-pandemic, Mike? I was trying to remember when I first yeah, I was trying to remember in terms of timeline. So
I think yes, I believe it was pre-pandemic, but it took me a while to actually animate it, so it took a while. And it came out in January 2021, but you'd sent the audio long before that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was so amazing to like, because originally our first collaboration was in Mixie One.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so cool when you hit me up and you were like, so I'm starting this whole universe of pixelated art and storytelling and music. And I was just like, that's amazing. When you first asked me to voice Miss Cleo, which I thought was so fun. I was like, okay, like, I think it's so cool. And I'd like seeing your behind the scenes as well when you guys get together and get to voice together. I'm like, it just seems like such a joy to get to do that.
Oh yeah, it's a barrel of laughs, especially when Alfie is involved.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, a barrel of decibels as well. But yes, without further ado, let's have a quick reminder. And similarly to how last time we were chatting about the Mankind is Obsolete album, Metamorphosis, the EP, sorry, Metamorphosis.
Metamorph.
I apologize.
Okay.
How revisiting that, you had a few feelings about that, checking out the old Tash. I feel quite similar about reviewing my old animation style. So this will be fun. But to dive in, this is the first appearance of Miss Cleo and the wonderful Tash Cox.
It's Duke Incorporated recording artist, Miss Cleo! Welcome to the show! Always the fashion aficionado. I'm sure our audience would just love to hear your take on the event. The designer has worked with you in the past.
Oh, I just adore Marcus's work. He's a genius. He has a mind like no other. His work is so innovative, so chic, a provocateur, a pioneer, truly a visionary of our time.
And, of course, the Duke is making his musical comeback tonight, too.
Yes, that person. I'd prefer to talk about modern, fashionable things, darling. Not yesteryear's relics.
Oh, but you're on the Duke's label, right?
He knows how I feel. Now, if you'll excuse me, these pieces won't appreciate themselves.
Okay, thanks. Enjoy the show.
Marcus Developer.
Yay! That was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have much memory of those first voice takes that you did for the character?
I remember like thinking, again, like I mentioned this to you before, but like playing a character is something, you know, what's fun about it is getting to explore a personality that is not necessarily yours. And I remember on some of it where I was like, oh, I wouldn't say that. I'd feel really bad if I spoke to somebody in that way or spoke about somebody in that way. But I realized that was like part of the character and part of the storytelling. And yeah, Miss Cleo, I love that she has that sass about her.
Oh, yeah.
So it was
You
very
bring it
fun
well.
to get to, yeah, thank you. Because like in spite of how I might actually feel about somebody, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable publicly saying something like that, like about the Duke. You know, so I think that I like that she has that honesty. So yes, I think I find her a very fun, refreshing, sassy character to play around with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And as we said before, so far removed from the gentle, underspoken Tash in real life. But I love how you can just turn on the sass like that, dial it up. Yeah, I mean, personally, for me, I love hearing that. I think you've got a wonderful, wonderful talent with your voice. But personally, watching that, like, because I look how I animate it, because back then I was very with like the arm movements, and now it's much more smooth. So I probably see that with a different eye than the casual viewer. I'm like, oh man, slow it down, Mike, slow it down.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you in terms, because you know you mentioned your animation process. Like, are things much faster now? You know, fast forward a few years.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the process has become faster. As in, I've discovered ways of making my workflow go faster, but the animation itself is slowed down because, as you saw there, like characters' arms are like, and now it's more smooth and there's lots more easing, which is an animation term where it's sort of goes to a point and then slows down before it gets there. It's a lot more fluid, I think. But definitely just through trial and error, I've discovered some shortcuts to get there a bit faster. And it's a good thing I did this style, because there's some styles where if I was to draw every frame, you'd have one episode every year. So
I think that's amazing. I mean, I was going to ask about, like, now that you've been really deep in this animation, like, do you feel like you have a different eye now when you see other animation, like in video games and all of that? Like, do you have a deeper understanding of how it all gets put together?
I do, yes. It's like I can look at certain animation and feel, okay, I see what they're doing, how many, they've got a few in-betweens there and things like that, and a few animation terms. And it's interesting. Sometimes I will watch an animation and watch it in slow motion just to see how many frames or what they're doing with certain characters to get certain like motions and things, and how they exaggerate the characters to create more impacts and things like that. So I'm no expert by any means. I've never had any training for this other than one YouTube video. But yeah, just like with anything, you just get a bit of an eye for these things. Even music, I've technically never had any training. It was just a internet tablature to learn guitar. Yeah, I can't remember what your story is with. Did you learn on your own when you were learning piano, or did you have a teacher whipping you into shape?
I had a teacher. I've had different, yes, many teachers actually.
Yeah.
For both voice and piano, I've had different teachers and different training. So, yeah, I actually had
Oh,
a
yeah.
very strict classical teacher for piano, and I was so fortunate to find another teacher to undo the tension that I got from the fear of making mistakes.
Oh,
Yeah, he taught me how to just kind of release the fear of mistakes, and that really helped because having like the super disciplined early background, I think I was terrified of playing a wrong note. So yeah.
yeah, I can understand that. It's interesting. I've been to a few singing teachers in the past. I've had a few with polar opposite views on how to use the voice. Like one I went to was very rock and was like, yeah, you got to push and put loads of stuff into it. Another was the opposite. It's like, don't let your stomach move. Don't just, let it come out naturally. And I guess you have to work out what feels best to you. But when you've got all people saying different things, it can be a bit tricky to work out the right path to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And the voice is so personal. Like everyone is so different. Like even if you have a similar voice type to someone else, like your body, your person, your experience is going to be so different than someone else, So I think ultimately it's finding like how to be your own teacher and how to really be self-aware, I guess, of your body and the way you produce sound and like what works best for you,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the personal instrument.
Yes.
So on the note of vocals, I would like to discuss your first musical introduction to X-RL7 on the song Gatekeeper, which is one of my favorites. So yourself and Sasha Travis, when she was in the Alice Fold, provided some wonderful backing vocals, additional vocals for the song. And I'd love to explore that now and tap your memory if you can remember anything about that all the way back those years ago. And, I might just say a few things about the song like I've never said before about the construction of it. And just quickly in the chat, Dasum, I love the enthusiasm, love it. And Raz, recovering from last night's party, might take 10 business days in total. That's that's a little a reference from the party there. So let's find a bit of Gatekeeper. We shan't play everything, but I'm just going to share it now. And this is the lead vocalist is the wonderful Mikey Altered of the band Altered, who plays the Duke so wonderfully. All right, let's rock it.
And the moment we've been waiting for has arrived! Introducing the Duke with his brand new song, Gatekeeper.
Watch me stow, sacred keeper of the promised land. Those chosen few are granted through those blessed by his hand. Oh, child, you've flown too close to the sun. You've forgotten your place here. Wild one, so bold, out there on your own. It soon will be clear whose blessings you ride upon. So you want the prize, if you want to make it, you've got to play the game. Do you want the truth? Well, nothing's free, babe. You've got to give to take. So let me tell you something you should know. You wanna be someone in this town, then you gotta see the king and bow down. He's the one emperor, so set to free. Yeah. Oh, he can be great, yes. He can put your name in lights that shine so bright, 'cause you are creators. He can make all right. Do you really want it all? And do you really have it in your blood? Do you really want to get inside? Do you want the prize? If you wanna
Wow, what a comeback! The Duke with his new single. I hope you're enjoying.
Yeah. And that was Gatekeeper. Yes, Tash, that was wonderful vocals you did there. Do you remember much about the process of hitting this track up?
I do. So I come from a choir background. I even now still do like operas and choral music. And so I think my approach was to just, when writing the harmonies, like just think about it from that perspective. And it felt very angular. Like it felt like it needed to have kind of like an angular feel. I guess that's the best way to say
Angular.
describe angular. Yes.
That's a good
Has
word.
yes, the parallel, fourths and fifths that are going on. Because it felt, like if you think about a gate, this is super nerdy, but like if you think about a gate, I do think about it from a very like angular perspective, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So that was part of the inspiration, I guess. Which I love the song. And Mikey did such a great job. Like, yeah.
Thank you so much. And a big huzzah for Mikey Ultra-Ed rocking it.
Yes.
And just want to send some love to Dusty. Sorry that you're having a hard time. What's this one? Take care, my friend. Yes, so Gatekeeper, I'd like to, I don't think I've ever really spoken about the song in depth. So this seems like a good opportunity to talk about a little bit of that, a little bit of Mike ramble. But yeah, so this song, interestingly enough, so X-RL7 started as a game in 2018 or something like that. And it didn't go very far, but I had this idea for this song back then. It was very abstract. Nothing was recorded. It was just this idea for the Duke. And the game fizzled out, did some other stuff, and then came back to X-RL7 in its current form. And when it came to this episode with the Duke, I was like, okay, the Duke, let's bring this song back. It's the Duke. He is this music icon. He's someone on the level of like David Bowie. Lusty, the reference there to the Duke, like the thin white Duke, one of Bowie's characters. And someone on that Michael Jackson, Queen, sort of someone of that scale. So his song needed to be something. It couldn't just be like your average pop song. It couldn't be like your verse, chorus, 3 minute. It needed to have some depth to it and some artistic merit to it to be this influential powerhouse that he is. So in my head, I was thinking something like Bohemian Rhapsody, of a song that takes you on a journey, goes to some different sections, but I wanted it to have a consistent chorus because this is the Duke. He's catchy. He's someone that's in the public sphere. He's got to have a catchy chorus. So the way I wrote it, like the flow of the song, is it's saying something about the Duke. So that the intro, we've got the a cappella bit, and the Gregorian choir was supposed to hint towards the kind of occult nature of the Duke, kind of Gregorian choir, Golden Dawn vibrating words. But the interesting thing is the Duke wrote it himself. So the words that are being said are obviously very, I'm great. How cool am I? Going into this tense sort of verse, just building up some anticipation, building up some emotion. That was, for some reason in my head, I was thinking the band IMX. But when I went to come up with something on acoustic guitar, my hands went to these palm mutes, and I was like, okay, this is kind of this rock tense vibe. So I went with that. so it doesn't sound very IMX in the end, but it's got those dissonant notes. And that was like him sort of flexing his muscles of, okay, well, you know, you better not mess with me. Then we hit the massive chorus, which is, again, sort of saying how great he is and how much power he has, going in with the wonderful gatekeeper vocals that you did, Tash, there. And then the next verse in my head, I consider it the showbiz section, because that's where he's putting on his front. He's like got his swagger on. And looking at these bands, like I was thinking of what's the name of the former Genesis singer? Peter Gabriel? Yeah, Peter Gabriel. Things like people like him and Seal and Phil Collins. I was thinking, you know, live they have some wonderful female backing vocalists, and I thought that would be really cool to incorporate something like that. That really fits with this big showman sort of vibe. And so that's when I tapped you up, Tash, about that, to just give a bit more, you know, that was just supporting the Duke, that kind of showbiz flair. Then we go back to the chorus, and then the outro is where the mask comes off. And we didn't hear the outro here because it wasn't on the episode. Maybe I'll play that in a moment. But that's where we have the choir back. It goes really heavy and slow. He starts doing some more aggressive vocals, and his mask has really slipped then, and he's really letting you know who he is. And he's when he's referring to the gatekeeper, at one point he slips to instead of saying he says I, and that's an intentional slip where, okay, you're seeing who he really is. So that was my intention with that track. And on the outro, you actually there was I hadn't planned for any more vocals from yourself and Sasha there, but you came up with this wonderful counter melody, which really blew me away when I heard it. And that's the story of Gatekeeper.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, Mike. It's always so cool to hear, you know, your process. So I love that. I feel like it really did come across in that way too. Like you were mentioning the Bowie vibe with the epic, you know, harmonies. And that was one of the first things I noticed too, was like it was like the Gregorian part in the very beginning. Like I felt like it really draws you in. So yeah.
I'm glad it resonates, and thank you for being a part of the track. Absolutely wonderful. And hello to the chat. We've got the wonderful Brutus. Sup, Brutus?
Yay.
Jessica, what's up?
Hi, friends.
Good to see you. And Pete, what's up, man?
Pete, yay.
Linda Love, what's up?
Oh, so good to see everyone.
Good people are good people. So Tash, now I would love to dive into where we left off. Let's talk the wonderful world of Alice. But before we do, I'd just like to speak about these acoustic shows a bit more. I'm just interested. What's the vibe now? Because you don't have the full support of the big band behind you. How is it doing these very intimate shows? Is it quite vulnerable, or what's the vibe been like for you?
Yeah, it's been very honestly challenging in a way. I was talking to Clint about this. I was hanging out with Clint just the other day because System Sin is doing a series of acoustic things as well. And I was telling him, for me, like, I think what's extremely vulnerable is that it's just sort of like, kind of like going back to how I wrote a lot of the songs. Like I wrote a lot of the Alice songs on the piano, you know? Yeah. So it's like, it's just, it feels like kind of like that pure emotion or that moment, like when the song was first written, and taking me back there. And you know, it's interesting when you perform a song. Like I feel like it takes on a different meaning every single time, like depending on who you're with and what it means for them, where you're at, you know. But definitely it feels like, you know, you strip away all the layers and you really hear the heart of a song. And you know, and it's like I'm not running around and rocking out. I'm just sitting behind a piano and singing, and that's it. It's just, there's nothing more, nothing less. It's a very human moment. I think when you just sit and play and sing, you know. So I think I've just sort of been in this headspace of just sort of allowing and just being, you know, and just being like, this is it. This is who I am. And fortunately, we're playing in different cities that we've played in before, and we just have just wonderful friends. Linda, actually, we're going to be seeing in Albuquerque at our very first show. And so to me, it's just going to be like a really lovely like hangout and reunion with all of our friends that we've made in all these different cities.
Oh, that's wonderful. The network of like-minded individuals.
I love our people. I'm so grateful. Just has to have such a beautiful community. Like truly, it's like how lucky are we that we get to connect with each other through our art and music. I mean, it's just amazing that other people are out there in the world and can resonate with what you do and are just wonderful, kind people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we've our communities, our work attracts some wonderful, wonderful human beings. That's wonderful, Tash. I was curious as well, because we've discussed before in the last stream, you mentioned, like myself, you're a bit of an introvert in personal life. So I was curious how, being someone who's not an attention fiend, you're someone that's a bit quieter and a bit, of that nature. How do you navigate being a front person of a band, particularly in a live environment as well, where you're in front of people, you're interacting with the crowd, and maybe sometimes some people in the crowd may not be behaving as one might want? How do you navigate that?
I think I just sort of look at it through a lens of love. Not to sound horribly hokey, hopefully, but I look at the opportunity to share music as a way of being my most honest and authentic self. It's my way of being in the world. I generally don't, share a lot about me personally, but I feel like I've shared so much about who I am through my songs. So like, that's a real insight into Tash, is like, it's the songs. That's who I am at the heart of it. And there's songs that have helped me heal. And so, I mean, it's a beautiful, like catharsis in a way. Like, I think music, I've viewed it that way. It's like, it's this beautiful catharsis of expression, even if it's like happy emotions, like we get to like, express this joy or express sorrow or whatever it is. But, I think for me, I've also learned as an introvert how to, like feed the proverbial well. I was mentioning to Mike earlier, like this morning, I did this beautiful rainy day hike. It's raining here in LA. And so I love being in nature. And so when we're on the road, like if there's like moments that I can take a little walk or just step outside, that sort of thing, like it helps feed me. Because yes, it is for us introverts who like to be in the cave and have to refill our social batteries. You have to find like, I think, little ways of being able to like refill that heart. And also I do a lot of writing. I write a lot of poetry, and that really fills me too. But yeah, like, you mentioned interacting with people who, can sometimes be like, I don't know, inebriated, belligerent, whatever the case is. I don't know. I just feel like everybody in some way, they're just trying to be in the world, and being human can be really hard. All of us are, have our share of challenges. And so I try to remember that like, maybe they don't get what's going on, or maybe they've had a terrible day or whatever. They
probably don't if they've had a few drinks.
Well, maybe they need those few drinks because they've had a terrible day. But I just try to remember that like, it's just not about me, it's like they're in their own universe, they're in their own headspace. And, I mean, we've had some hecklers. They're pretty rare, to be honest. We've been pretty fortunate, but we've had a few. And, it's just one of those things where I'm like, well, they're in their space, and hopefully like they'll find whatever they need from that experience. And if they don't, maybe eventually they will.
Oh yeah. And it really says more about them than it does about yourself, or when someone acts like that, I believe. Okay, that's a wonderful answer there. The heart of the songs there. If you want to know Tash's energy, check out the songs. And shout out to the chat. We've got Culture Casino in the chat. Great to see you, my friend. Always love a bit of culture. He voices some characters in the show. He's a wonderful individual. And we have Martin in the chat. How are you doing? if you're playing the music sounds kind of tinny and brassy and compressed. I do apologize. There isn't a whole lot I can do about it on the stream using StreamYards. We're going to have to check it out afterwards in full audio capacity afterwards. And we do have a question from Raz, which if I can find, a question for Tash. Do you have a favorite artist who has appeared in XRL7? Clint Carney, maybe.
Yeah, actually, you called it. For those of you who are not familiar, I also play keyboards and sing background vocals for System Sin, which is Clint Carney's band. He's a dear friend of mine. Also, Raz, he's done Aesthetic Perfection videos as well. He's just this incredible, multi-talented artist. So yes, I have a special place in my heart for Clint. We love the Clint.
Clint's awesome. He's got a very good voice. Very good voice acting voice as well.
He has that super resonance. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
And I've lost a comment, but I see a rumor that you did give good panda hugs, apparently.
Yeah, I love hugs. I always try to make sure that people are up for hugs because not everyone likes to hug, but when people like to hug, I do love to hug. So yes.
Good. Like it. Get the permission. Go in there. Excellent. Well, that's a wonderful insight, Tash. So again, we've got to dive into Alice, but before we do, you are a book author as well, a children's book author. And am I correct or am I wrong here? Is it the illustrations were done by Hazel?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, that's so cool. What can you tell us about that?
So I was on a hike. I get a lot of ideas on hikes, like song ideas, story ideas, and I was on a hike and I remember seeing lots of shadows and it felt very Tim Burton-y. There was lots of vines and, all that sort of thing. And I just started thinking about the idea of like, what if fear was actually a really cute little devilish looking character, but it was the shadow that made people run away. And so the name of the story is called My Best Friend Fear. And I thought of the idea of like when we are able to embrace our fears, how truly empowering they are, not to push it away, but to just be like, okay, this is my fear and it's my friend. It actually guides me. It keeps me safe. And there's a reason for it. And at the time I was actually singing, I've done several operas with Hazel, when we were doing an opera together, I think, and I'd mentioned the idea of it to her. I was like, I knew she was an amazing visual artist, and I was like, well, would you maybe be interested in illustrating this? And she was like, yes. Like anytime we've approached each other with projects, both of us, it's like yourself, Mike, it's an immediate yes. Like there's our wonderful kindred spirits in the world. And we're like, yes, let's do the thing. And so, yes, just absolutely loved what she came up with. I'm working on part 2. So she's waiting on me now. There's always a back and forth, like when you're doing writing and illustration, it's kind of like washing dishes, like someone dries it faster and someone washes it faster. So it's my turn. So I'm finishing up the second book to follow up on the series that I'm working on.
Oh, fantastic. We have a wonderful review in the chat as well from Jessica.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm actually working on another story right now. It's a bit more adult. It's going to be kind of like an illustrated short story, kind of like graphic novel, a little bit graphic novel. And I'm working with an amazing artist called Jamie. His name is Jamie Curcio. And that's going to be called The Girl Who Lost Her Tears. So that's going to be coming out later this fall.
That's some very interesting imagery there. Very cool.
Yeah. That one came to me in a dream. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Was it a dream about hiking, perchance?
It's not hiking this time. It was just a dream.
Okay, right. Excellent. Well, can't. Sorry about that. OBS is playing up. Yes. Okay. Right. Let's dive into Alice at last. So the wonderful Alice. Oh, and just a quick hi from Bay Burns from the Philippines. Love a bit of Philippines. My wife is there at the moment, actually visiting family with her sister. Yeah, that's some early times. Yes. So let's talk about Alice. How did Alice form, and how did the journey of the first album begin?
Gosh, so got the guitar player, Gordon, the bass player, and myself, also in Mankind is Obsolete. We were on a year-long tour. And during that time, like every time I would see a piano, because on occasion you'll have venues that have like actual pianos. I'd tootle around with it, and I was playing around with this sort of like progressive song idea that was in 13. It was like this strange odd meter thing, and it would eventually become a weighting. And I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, this doesn't quite fit in Mankind. Like Mankind to me feels a little bit more like, I don't even know the word, but maybe more immediate, a little harsher. This one had like kind of a more of a surreal flow to it. So when we got back from tour, Scott and Gordon and I started jamming. And the first album was honestly like kind of a result of like a lot of our jams. And we didn't have a drummer initially. So Gordon would actually play percussion with his feet. So he'd play percussion. That hasn't gone away. He still does that live. He does like live like looping, and he'll play like crazy synth lines with his feet while he's singing and playing bass at the same time. I don't know how he does it, but
Wow.
yeah. But anyway, so we came up with like a bunch of songs, and we like to camp a lot. As you can see, the theme with Alice is lots of nature. So we were camping out in the desert, and we were trying to think of like a band name, and we were thinking about how we wanted our music, or it felt like it was like we were going on a journey. Like you mentioned, like, Gatekeeper being like a journey. And that kind of felt like the whole vibe of what we were creating, because we envisioned something that was multimedia and theatrical and immersive, and that wasn't just about the band or just about the music. Originally, we thought about releasing it all anonymously, because we were like, it would be so interesting to just eliminate like knowing who the person was behind it, but just creating the art. But eventually we were like, okay, we'll just release it as it is. And End of the Beginning was our first album. And at the time, we were also collaborating with a performance art group called Cypher Art Studios. So we had like a couple of different dance troupes that was part of our album release event. They also had done this like live Tim Burton exhibit at the museum here in LA. So we actually had some pieces from the Tim Burton exhibit that were at our show. And which I completely nerded out about. I was like, that's amazing. But and we had, these live visuals and everything. And so, yeah, like the idea of it, like all of my favorite artists are artists that not only write music that's from the heart, I feel, but like also has a way of kind of like transforming the energy and the vibe of when you experience it. So like you walk in a little bit shifted from having that experience. And so we liked the idea of the Alice in Wonderland mythos, like going through the looking glass and coming out of the other side, having shifted and evolved a bit. So yeah.
That's very cool. And I just want to, I quite enjoyed the use of the word tootle there, tootling on piano. That was...
Yes, I tootle around on the piano. That's how the songs begin.
The tutelage, yes.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
it's a wonderful album. Yes, Dusty, Down the Rabbit Hole. And, one of my favorite songs off that album, when I first heard that album, I really loved it. I listened to it a lot of times. And I remember there was a video once, I think of you doing the song Vectors live. And it was really... I watched that a great to many number of times, but one song I would come back to a lot is the song All Is Lost. And I would like to play a little bit of that, if you don't mind, and maybe you could give us some words about it once we've heard a few seconds.
stars. Nothing familiar. I'm in the dark, waiting, hoping that this is my time. Maybe someday my life will be mine. When it seems like all is lost, you can rest here in my arms. If our paths never cross, I'd be waiting still.
Gosh, I was getting chills with the backing vocals in the chorus there. That's such a wonderful song. Can you enlighten us? Give us a story about this wonderful track. I've got a bit of a Cure influence with some of the guitar bits there.
I definitely think that Scott was influenced by The Cure for sure. So as mentioned, we went on that year-long tour and literally gave up everything to be able to do it. Like, gave up jobs. I put everything in storage, gave up the place I was living, everything. And as most indie artists can attest to, there is not a lot of money in music. And when we came back limping home from the year-long tour, we were literally paying for the gas in our tank out of the quarters in our merch tin. We had completely maxed out our credit cards. We gave everything to be able to do that year-long tour. Absolutely worth it. No regrets. And no resentment about that. But it was just one of those things where it was one of those moments in my life. And I think we all hit many rock bottoms throughout the course of our life. Like, we can never say that we're completely at the top or completely at the bottom all the time. Like, there's peaks and valleys throughout the journey. But this was definitely a valley for me, where I came home and I was literally like paying for gas with quarters. Don't have anything in terms of like the monetary, physical part of my life together. Gave everything for the music, for the community. And I had that moment where I was like, yeah, like I could say that all is lost, but then there is the comfort. And however you want to look at it, whether it's like an actual partner or like love from the divine, or love for the music itself, where you're like, okay, you can rest in the arms of knowing that there is something larger than you that will hold you, and some people are fortunate to have like that kind of love with a person, but if you don't, you can find that in yourself eventually. And sometimes that can be really hard to find. You have to dig really deep when you're in like the throes of depression or whatever valley that you're in. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I do not feel that love. I do not feel that love. But I do find that the next day the page turns and things get better. And so that song was sort of like a reminder that even when you feel like all is lost, that you somewhere can find something that can hold you in love.
That's beautiful. I love that you've managed to find some hope within that story, within your experiences there. Was that a tour with Mankind or a tour with Alice? At what point did you write the song? Were you touring with Alice before the album was written, or was this a Mankind is obsolete tour?
This is Mankind. Yeah, this was our year-long Mankind tour. And so that song was written like right after we had finished the tour, and we came back home and just picking up our pieces, and being like, okay, let's reassess. Let's figure out like how to move forward, not just with the band, but with our own personal lives. Like, let's just figure out like how to be like adults and be in the world,
And what a beautiful song came out of it. It's interesting how sometimes these challenging times, beautiful art comes out of these. like every Stabbing Westward song seems to be about something negative happening to the guy. So
Isn't that true of many artists, though? I mean, I think about like just, with some of our favorites, I'm sure, where you're like, you think about the stories that led that person, that artist, to write that song, and they wouldn't have written that otherwise, right? So
that's true. Our mutual friend Avi Ghosh, I recall he mentioned that he can't write when he's happy, or something along those lines. So we had this lovely influx of material earlier on in his career, and I remember him saying that he just has a bit of trouble writing when he's in a good place, and evidently he is right now. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to Clint about this actually, because like I think we are definitely of the darker art persuasion. Like we were like, we can't write a happy song even if we try. It always ends up a little darker tinged. Try to.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I think that you can always find the light in the dark, and that's what I try to bring to it at least.
And you certainly did, and that's a wonderful song. One of my favorites off the first album. It makes me want to ask about more songs.
Please feel free. I love talking about it.
Well, yeah, there's so much more material to cover. There's some later songs I'd love to dive into where we have some lovely visuals to show. So continuing the journey from this first album, at what point there was a point I recall you went abroad and shared your music internationally. Was that, where was this in the timeline? Was this after the first album, before the second, after?
Yes. So we were asked by the U.S. State Department to go to Algeria. So they have this really amazing program that bridges worlds through art and music. So we were asked to be cultural envoys. We were actually the first, virtual cultural envoys to Iran. And then they asked us as well to physically travel to Algeria. And we were there for 2 weeks. We taught workshops, we played shows, and I felt like it was definitely like a cultural exchange. We learned so much about the beautiful culture there, the beautiful music, just an incredible experience. And in that time, we were inspired to write the song "Breathe." And it has, I think that's really what a lot of the beats come from, because you'd hear these really beautiful, it felt like heartbeats from their music. You'd hear the call to prayer like every day, all the time, or at certain times during the day. And I just felt like, again, it was like this incredible reverence that was interwoven throughout their culture. And so, getting to take part in that, and also to just take part in the program, it was such a gift. We went on to actually do the same thing in Uzbekistan with our jazz band, Alice Underground, and we did the same thing except with our jazz music. And so that was also really beautiful experience to get to experience Central Asia in that way, and a completely different culture that we normally wouldn't have. It's difficult to get all of us together and to be able to travel in that way. So definitely influenced our writing and our awareness, I think, about different music from different parts of the world.
Wow, what a gift! What a gift to experience some more musical cultures like that, and for it to appear in your songs. Was it? I'm interested to check out "Breathe" now to to dive into that.
Yeah.
We've got a really cool question from Martin in the chat. Tash asked about an idea she got during a dream. Was it a lucid dream? Or either of you lucid dreamers, musicians and their superpowers?
It was indeed. And I've had lucid dreams since I was a child. I actually used to have a lot of nightmares, but I had a lot of lucid dreams, and I've had a lot of songs and poetry, and sometimes I actually even see the sheet music in my dreams. So I actually see the notes written out, which is pretty trippy.
It is.
But yeah, Yeah. But it was a dream. It was definitely a lucid dream that that came to me for that story. And I love that question. I
That is
take
so
it you're also
wild.
a lucid dreamer. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love the subconscious process that goes on behind the creativity.
yeah, that's really amazing. I myself, I'm not a lucid dreamer. I wish I was. At one point, I did look up like how do you lucid dream, and it was saying something like wake up at like 3 a.m. and do this and do that. And in the end, I've still yet to do it. So I bow to your wisdom in this area, Tash.
I don't know if it's wisdom, is more like it just sort of naturally happens, probably out of necessity from all the nightmares. So my brain just
Yeah,
kind of started doing that. So yeah.
yeah. Well, it sounds like we've got some great material from it. So that's the silver lining. So let's continue the journey of Alice. So after the first album and this wonderful experience, so the 13th hour, was this the album in which we had the Moondrops, which sound like a fun bite-sized snack, but are actually songs?
Ooh, I like this idea. I think we need to make snacks. I mean, wouldn't that
Yeah,
be
have
lovely?
Moondrop.
Yeah. Ooh, what would a moondrop taste like? We're gonna ask
Ooh,
the peanut gallery. What is your idea of a moondrop?
that's a good question. Right.
Hmm.
Feel free to let us know in the chat how a Moondrop's going to taste. This is market research.
Exactly.
So yeah, so the 13th hour,
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful album. What can you tell us about that, the process behind it, the Moondrops?
So I've always felt very attuned, like I mentioned, to nature and the moon in particular. Like love the full moon. Just absolutely love getting to moonbathe, enjoy the beautiful moonlight. On camping trips, it's amazing when you get to experience that. And so thought about the idea of like, what if every full moon we release a song, a piece of art, and a music video? And we did that. Well, it's technically 14, but we planned for 13. Like the 14th one was a bonus, but that's why it's called the 13th hour. Is because we took on that immense task of creating that. We were literally shooting and creating these videos as we were on tour. And so like we would see cool spots along the way when we were on the road, and we'd be like, okay, pull over, let's do some shooting, incorporate that in the music video, get back on the road with the face paint on. And it was definitely a really intense journey. It's interesting when you gave yourself a deadline as an artist, because like really I feel like for us cave dwellers, it's so easy to just go endlessly on and on and on with any particular album or song. Like time is fluid, but we gave ourselves these like very, very like strict parameters. So as the moon would start to like fill up, we'd be like, oh, that deadline is about to happen.
It's like having a manager in the sky, a boss or something.
Exactly. Oh, and she's relentless. Whether you're ready or not, there she goes.
How's that report coming along? That's awesome, Tash. And you know what? Pete reckons that Moondrops are dark chocolate covered shortbread.
Love.
Well, shortbread's got gluten in, and I've got a gluten intolerance, so this is outrageous for me.
I bet we can make it gluten-free.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes.
You're speaking my language.
Yes.
Toxic Man Flu in the chat. Hail, how are you doing?
Hail.
Lovely to see you.
Yes.
I still haven't forgotten Toxic's comment from the last stream we did about your vocals sounding like a perfume sledgehammer or something like that.
Yes, I love it.
So let's dive into more of your wonderful sledgehammer voice, and look at. I'd love to check out the song we are discussing, "Breathe," which I will bring up from the Alice playlist. All right, let's go for it. Oh yeah, it's a Breathe Part 1. Part 1. Is there much story behind the
Oh.
part 1 and part 2?
Yeah, it was like, I think part 2 ended up being sort of like, oh, so because we had done our jaunt in Algeria, one of our intentions behind creating the music video is that we wanted to show artists that it's possible to create art no matter what kind of budget you have. A lot of our videos were actually shot on an iPhone. And we
Wow.
were like, look, it's like possible for anyone to create art. So our idea of it was in part 2 was like BTS, where we're like, look, this is how we created it. We literally built the set. Like everything was built from the ground up. Some of our friends created the costumes. And yes, it does take time and energy. It takes a literal village to put, art together sometimes. But even if you're a village of one, like we just wanted to show that it was possible. Because, a lot of the artists that we worked with just didn't have a lot of resources. And so we wanted to kind of make it so that people were like, finding that they too could access being able to like create their own music videos. So, yeah.
It's quite amazing that that's so cool. We can just do it on the iPhone. It does not look like it's from an iPhone. It looks very professional. We have more taste suggestions: Moon Beams, spicy dill pickle puffs. Love it.
Yes. They know my love of spice and pickles. So
Okay.
I have a pickle problem.
A pickle problem, right?
Yes.
What a problem to have. What a pickle to be in. And we're making Culture Casino hungry, which is, I think we've got to capitalize on this, with this market, this idea we've got right now. But first, let's enjoy some Breathe. Oh, sorry to interrupt Gordon there, but yeah, what a great track. You can definitely feel the international influence there with the track.
Yeah, I mean, the intention behind the song, lyrically speaking, was really, I guess, again, about unity and bridging the worlds, because that was a really big intention, I think, with the whole program, was to find connection. I do truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that music is so universal. There were times where, if there was a language barrier, we would just play music together. And so, you know, the idea, the inspiration behind it was just finding the oneness that we can all find, I think, with each other, no matter where we come from.
I like it. Music, the great connector. And hello to Davina in the chat.
Hello.
And it reminds Davina of 90s Delirium.
Love that. Ooh, very cool.
Dusty loves it.
Oh, thank you. Also wanted to edit this particular video. We did have like some professional camera people helping us out. So we had upgraded gear, but a lot of the moon drops were shot on the iPhone.
Wow.
But we did show a lot of BTS where you're actually seeing the construction of the set, like that whole set that you saw. That was in one of our friends' backyards. Also, fun fact, that backyard is where we shot Electrical. So a lot of our music
Oh.
videos was shot in his backyard. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that set was constructed in his backyard. So yes.
We know what, that's a wonderful segue onto a certain song called Electrical, which ironically you've got a lot of rain in the video, haven't you? That's a dangerous
So-
combo.
Yes, that was a rain machine that he built. So
You built, okay.
he built that. Yeah.
What can you tell us about Electrical? Because this had some incredible remixes as well. And how did that idea come about to involve all these other artists in the track as well? Well, the remixes.
We have such amazing friends, like such a talented community, and it was sort of our way of well, like I really admire their music so much, and so I was like one of those things where we're like, it'd be so cool to hear their take and their remix for this particular track. Avi, who we mentioned, was one of the remixers. We had like Cyclone 9, we had 8mm, Collide. You know, we had just like all of our friends that we just love so much that contributed to the remixes. So yeah, it's always fun when you hear other people's like interpretations, how they come about.
Oh, yes. Yes. I wouldn't know anything about that with Antipop Star or anything like that. Yeah, it's a wonderful track. Let's give it a spin now. And maybe you could explain to us why you think mixing water with electric isn't going to cause any problems. But
I don't wanna be the highways on your plane. I don't wanna be the lightning rod that saves. I don't wanna be the one who's always used. I don't ever wanna fall from grace from you. I don't wanna be the one who's underground, buried in the ash when you burned it all down. I don't wanna be the hunger and the rain, drowning in the drought just for you to be saved. Can't get away. You're coming at me every other way. Never knowing when you might appear. You're everywhere I go. You're climbing up, I'm falling down. I'm fading fast, you're all around. Electric, electrical. You're climbing up, I'm falling down. I'm fading fast, you're all around. Electric, electrical.
beautiful, beautiful. And yeah, what could possibly go wrong with the water?
Yeah, that was next level challenging. That was in the middle of the pandemic, which is why you see all the masks. And the guys found out the hard way about waterboarding. So water and masks are not exactly the smartest combination.
Oh,
Yeah. I had this amazing, brilliant choreographer. She's choreographed a lot of our music videos that we worked with. And even though the moves were very practiced, dancing in the mud is very hard. And I wasn't doing nearly as much as some of the other dancers like Sheena and Lennon, who were just brilliant in the video. Fun fact actually is the fellow in the television screen, that's Brian Forrest, and he's the one that built the rain machine. That's his backyard.
okay.
Super talented, incredible artist, performer, prop maker, all the things. But yeah, that was his brilliance. We shot the first part of the video in the summer. And that was fine. That was lovely, but we didn't get enough footage and we didn't get all the right shots. So we ended up shooting the latter part in the winter. So even though it was Southern California, it was very cold. Like water in the winter, no matter where you are, unless you're in a tropical area, is very cold. So you can actually see our breath in some of the parts of the video. Like it's
Oh,
little
yeah.
Easter egg. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of coldness by the end of it. I think we were all kind of like, we were starting to go into shock just a little bit. The things we do for art.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, the things we do. So, it came out amazingly. And is that a bit of Clint Carney's work with the robot potentially?
Yes. We had all this footage and we were trying to figure out how to thread it together as a whole story because we had all of this incredible performances, but we were like, okay, it's not really making sense. You know, Clint is such an incredible storyteller, and I was like, all right, Clint, here you go. Here is a project for you if you are willing. And he came up with a robot idea, which I thought was just brilliant. And you know, he pieced it all together and made the story what it is. So yeah, it's example of collaboration. You see so much collaboration, which is the heart of what Alice is, in that video, like between like the actual like behind the scenes or the performance or the actual like post, which was what Clint did a lot of.
It is brilliant. It came out really, really well. And Pete first heard it on a Facebook ad. So well done on clicking that, Pete. And Divina, Divina. I'm not quite sure what that emoji is, but we appreciate it nonetheless. That's one of my favorite songs of yours. I think you guys did amazing. And that was a nice mention there of the pandemic, because you guys did something very innovative. You did this series of online concerts, a whole wonderful row of live stream events. How did that come about? And that involved our now mutual friend Mark Sigiyama hosting it, who's a wonderful, wonderful, kind individual. How did that happen? It's a great idea. I love seeing that, because being someone in the UK, I could finally watch you guys live and in some good quality as well.
Thank you. I had 4 tours booked in 2020, and they were booked. It was like they were ready to go. They were booked. Steve, our drummer, is also an ER doctor. And so he was very much tapped into what was going on, and kept us abreast of all the news. And, you know, he was like, guys, this is not looking good. And so like we were like, okay, what are we gonna do? We could just cancel everything. But I was thinking about like really ultimately I was like, what does our community need? Because there were so many people that were so affected, you know, and on so many levels. We had a lot of venues that we knew of that had to close. They lost their livelihood. There was a lot of artists who that was also their livelihood. And so we did a series we converted all of the shows that we were going to have into live streams. And what was so cool was that we were able to host other bands, like even internationally. And so that's what I loved about the technology that we had, was that we were like, well, we don't have to actually be in person. Geography is not a limitation. And this is a way that we can all come together virtually, and be able to have this place of being able to at least have our music together. And so, and we did a series of fundraisers as well, with the intention of trying to at least help a little bit with the people that were especially really, really affected. And so, yeah, and it was really beautiful to see just people all over the world who were coming in and being so supportive and connecting, not just with us, but with each other. So yeah, it's like that chapter like holds a very dear and awful place in my heart. I think, I think we all can agree that was awful. And yet I think here we are. We found our way through it. And I think that's, if anything, brought a great deal of gratitude. I think we leaned so deeply into our communities, especially online during that time.
Yeah, and the energy of what was going on, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think resulted in a pretty hardcore track called For Dead. What can you tell us about this track?
It's a survival track. It's like one of the tracks that I created. That's sort of it's sort of like everybody, I think, needs their songs that kind of get them through challenges, right? And this one in particular, I was like, okay, this needs to be, I think, for me, anthemic. Like, what's a song that can express that rage that you need to feel to get through a challenging situation? What I love in particular about this track actually is that live, we actually have the full band doing the drum breakdown. So all 6 of us are on percussion. And I've always loved live percussion, like real acoustic, just raw, you feel it in your bones. So it's a really fun song to perform.
It's just the drum solo, which is referenced by Pete here.
Yes, Pete was witness to this when he saw us in Savannah.
I see. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wild to think, as Raz says here, that the pandemic was 5 years ago. Gosh, time does certainly fly, doesn't it? Well, let's hear some of this rage, this musical rage. Ooh, that goes hard. What a tune. Toxic. Ethereal Feel. Ethereal Feel. And Pete, that gig was a core memory. I've been to some gigs in my day. Oh.
Likewise.
You're making memories, Tash.
Likewise. Oh, it's wonderful. where people take such good care of us. Also, a core memory, Pete like brought some of like the most amazing snacks ever. Pete is an incredible cook. So just
Is that
saying.
so?
Yes. Yes.
One of the perks in being in a band, you get to sample some nice food from talented people.
We have wonderfully
In fact,
talented people in our lives.
yeah, Pete has actually shared some cooking pics on Discord as well, and they look very, very appetizing.
Highly recommend Pete's cooking.
So that's a wonderful song, and you know what? On that album as well, you know, in general in Alice, you have some very good cover songs that you do. I noticed as an Englishman that 2 of the covers are some bands from my shores. Duran Duran, Ordinary World, and Genesis. My dad actually played with a couple of times in his band.
Wow. And the Chameleons. We did a Chameleons cover.
Oh yes, you did. Yes, absolutely wonderful. And a Bjork.
I think we have a thing for UK artists.
Yeah. Yeah. So why is Bjork in there?
Well, yeah, they're with Bjork Thornton.
Yeah. So yes. Why is English music so appealing? No. What goes through the band's process when you guys choose a cover to pick? And if I can say, I think when Land of Confusion by Genesis, the video seemed quite interesting. It seemed to be about the confusion of the media and things like that, if I wasn't mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. There was, I mean, I think it's so funny. We had a rehearsal just the other day, and we're going to be doing Land of Confusion in our set. And I was like, it's so funny. This song was written like a while ago, but I feel like it's like timeless. Like I feel like it's appropriate in so many eras. And so, yeah, like it's the song is pretty spot on, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm trying to find it from the playlist. There it is. And Pete, the fudge was gluten-free. I like you. I like what you're about.
Honestly, the best fudge of my life, hands down.
Dusty, I love that they're doing covers. I do too. Genesis is awesome. It is true. It's very true. Let's hear that very song, Land of Confusion, the Alice version of it.
Welcome to Fox News. I am your anchor, Christian White.
News today with freelance Zorb.
Off the coast of Nigeria, the naval ship Saratoga was attacked.
Another body has been discovered in the aftermath of the Squirrel Mike riot.
Today in Agrabah, thousands died.
Local police and SWAT teams are currently
surrounding a middle school just north of downtown. Apparently, a shooter has just entered the school. Shots have been fired.
Shots have been fired.
This is it. We have confirmed that the shooter has managed to kill.
More as this develops.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Toxic waterboarding is no joke.
Agreed.
Was that mentioned in this one, or was that a throwback to the electrical video?
I assume it was referring to electrical.
That was minutes ago, man. Thank you for the comment. Pete, Genesis adjacent, but I'll put the 4 Dead solo against the in the air tonight any day.
I'll have to tell Steve that. It'll make him really happy. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's quite an iconic, song to mention there. The new Marilyn Manson cover is pretty cool as well. But anyway, yeah. So that's a wonderful cover of that song. So yeah, I guess there's some connection with the English music scene there in some way. On the what was the mentality then for a song like Army of Me by Bjork, which feels like one of the heavier songs in your set?
So I absolutely adore Bjork. Definitely an influence. I was terrified of doing that cover because you can't touch Bjork. She's Bjork. And so it took me a little bit of time to work up the courage where I was like, okay, I think I'm ready for this. And our way of approaching covers is like, we like to not just replicate the song, but to actually like kind of translate it and interpret it in the way that we and Alice feel it, I guess. And so someone asked me, they were like, why didn't you use that synth line, the very iconic synth bass line that in Army of Me? And I was like, well, I think it's just because we like to kind of like reinvent the song. So this is sort of a reimagined version of it. And again, a favorite to do live. I love this one. I love seeing people sing along to it too. It is very fun to see people when they are like, oh, it's Army of Me.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I do have a live performance right here.
Oh my God. This is one of our live streams.
Oh yeah.
It's so interesting because we've really changed how this was like very early. So this was our Halloween live stream. Obviously we are in the skeleton onesies. And so that was a very fun stream because we did all kinds of like Halloween-esque covers that night. But yeah, like we've definitely taken a very different approach to how we ended up with where Army of Me is now. So
yeah,
it's interesting to see that early beginning.
I love it. That was great. Oh, I wonder what year that was as well when you guys were rocking that.
Oh, that was 2020.
2020. Oh my gosh. Right. All right. It was back in.
That was one of the pandemic streams. Mm-hmm.
During the thick of it. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful performance. And just want to say hi to Leanne in the chat.
Yes.
What's up? And
another thing. Oh, sorry. I was going to say is that singing in a mask is not easy. I definitely had to learn my stamina with learning how to sing in a mask during that time. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm surprised you managed to get such clarity out of the vocals with a mask in your face.
It took some work. It definitely took a lot of work to figure that out.
Oh my gosh. Once again, the things we do for our art, eh?
True.
And I you did some wonderful reimaginings of some songs from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I enjoyed it. It came on my car the other day, actually, and I'm curious how that came about. I really love them. I think the songs were, correct me if I'm wrong, Going Home and Superheroes.
Mhm.
Why not Sweet Transvestite, Tash? Why not? Why can't we get Gordon to sing that?
I honestly, that would be amazing. We were part of a compilation. Like it was a benefit. So we've done a lot of benefit compilations, and those were the songs that were requested of us. But I mean, I think that's a good future, planting seeds in the future. I completely agree. It would be amazing to hear Gordon sing that.
Halloween show. Yeah, get him to bust it out.
Yes, I love it.
Transvestite. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, because you did some really cool kind of trip hop versions of those. I'm not sure if you guys have those on the channel. Do you?
I don't think so. Yeah, we're actually so we're finishing up our double album right now. But after we do, we actually are gonna put out a cover album. And so that's actually going to be included on the cover album because we've done so many, and then there's a lot that we really want to do. So we were like, why don't we just make it into a whole album? So that's definitely going to be put out in the future.
That's a great idea. I look forward to some Bryan Adams as well on the album. So this album, as above, and as I understand, the next album, So Below, is coming along. There seems to be some interesting references, pointers towards the alchemical in the band, like with the name As Above, So Below. I assume this is probably not a very obvious question, but I assume there's a certain interest in the esoteric and the alchemical within the band.
Oh yes, very much so. Very much so. We all have like our interests, and we've had our I know that Gordon loves Aldous Huxley, and I grew up reading a lot of mythology myself. Like that's really influenced a lot of my writing and a lot of my creative expression in general. I've just always loved reading about mythology. And so I think that we definitely have our interests in the esoteric, and As Above, So Below is no different. We one of the pieces of imagery that's woven into the artwork is the Tree of Life. My friend Daphne Yap, incredible artist, she's designed a lot of our things, and she did the art for As Above, So Below. And so you can see like the Tree of Life that's being expressed in our hands. So yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I love that. A bit of depth there for the initiated to see. That's very cool. And so moving on from As Above, so there's been some singles which I assume are going to be on So Below,
Yes.
such as Time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that is my dad's favorite song of yours, by the way. And I would spend some time checking it out because it's a great track. And gosh, Gordon's got some high range, man. He's got some. Right, so let's check out Time, which is such a great track. Oh my gosh. What a phenomenal track, Tash. Absolutely
you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
And as Dusty says, so if being waterboarded by Marcy, the rain wasn't enough, they went full underwater.
Yeah, I had to train for this one because we shot a lot of this underwater, and I had to learn how to lip sync underwater. And hold myself
Yeah.
underwater. So it took some time to practice to hold my breath for that long and to stay under, because we float. So I had to get some ankle weights and learn how to swim with the ankle weights and everything like that. So
yeah, how many lines can you actually sing before you drown?
Exactly. But it's amazing, actually, when you train for things, like how you can really, human body is incredible. Just like you can increase your capacity for anything. And so I actually really enjoyed the whole process of making this one.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a phenomenal song. It feels like a very special song in the discography.
Yeah.
With Pink Floyd vibes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Definitely an influence. Pink Floyd is definitely an influence for this one.
Epic song, epic guitar solo towards the end too. Yes. And I'd just like to quickly address this question from Davina. Does Alice get approached for video game soundtracks?
Well, besides X-RL7, we have not. That's something that's a world we would absolutely love to be involved with. Any and all collaborations creatively to us is a true joy. So anytime we have the chance to soundtrack truly anything, we're like, yes, collaboration, let's go. Because I feel like it's so interesting when you get to create from a space of somebody plants a seed, like yourself, Mike, where you're like, okay, here's the seed of an idea, go. And then it's like a back and forth, like ping pong or tennis game where we're getting to go back and forth with it. So, but yeah, future goals, that would be amazing.
And that's one of the most exciting processes of the creative journey when you work with others. Oh, what about this? Oh, yeah, okay, what about this? And you did, however, get approached about a comic series for the song Dead Lucky. Can you please tell us a bit about that wonderful track?
So our amazing friend, Missy, she actually also wrote for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And she's she's incredible. She's done a lot of writing for Marvel. And she was a fan of Alice and was like, hey, I'm putting together a comic book called Dead Lucky. It's a comic book with hopefully not giving away too much, but it's about a veteran. And the trauma that she goes through and how she becomes a superhero as a result of the PTSD that she has from what she's been through in her battles. And so she was like, can you write a theme song for this? And we were like, we would be absolutely honored. And so, we ended up getting to write that song for the Dead Lucky theme. And it was one of those examples where she was like, she kind of gave us creative freedom where she was like, here's the theme. I read the story. That was kind of always important to me, is to understand the story. And just big fan of her writing and her work. And so, yeah, that was really fun to get to put that together.
Oh, that's really cool. Did she give you any, so you didn't get any genre pointers? Like, I want it to sound like Britney Spears or something like that.
She gave us a playlist, which was very helpful. She made a Spotify playlist for us, and she was like, here's some influences. There was some different, from Arcane, the Arcane series. So some different things, but she gave us a vibe, but she was just like, I trust what you do, go. So aside from giving us kind of a general guideline, she was like, just do what Alice does. So.
And yeah. Alice did do very well. This is also another one of my top Alice tracks. Ladies and gentlemen, Dead Lucky.
my eyes. Dropped into endless nights. Words can erase what I feel. Oh, still remain and keep me here. Still alive, still right here. Somehow I can't disappear. Hold on, hold on to you.
Was this another example of? See, when I hear this track, I mean, beautiful vocals and the drums. It's got so many great ingredients, and the synths. Was this the same situation where, as in Anti-Pop Star, Scott was just railing it with all these different sounds?
Yeah, I mean, originally I have a clip myself. I was looking back through old videos where originally this was just us on piano, tootling away at the piano and putting the song together. And then, yeah, Scott came in with the production and came in with all the incredible sounds, Steve with his, amazing, massive drumming, which I feel like is the heart of it, right? Like there's this very, very deep groove with the drums, which we felt like we wanted it to represent what it felt like to be in a battle. Like the drums had to have that like immediate urgency, I think.
Oh yeah, I can hear that now. You said that it's kind of war cry sort of. Yeah. That's interesting. So it's a wonderful track. Was it received well by the author?
Yeah, I mean, example of how Tash is painfully shy and very introverted. They did a whole release party in Hollywood. They've rented out this venue called Scum and Villainy, which is like based on Star Wars, which is awesome. But they had this whole venue rented out. There's all these Hollywood people, and I hardly could talk to anyone. Like they had the video streaming, and all of that, but I don't do well at parties, and I'm really, really shy. And in spite of the fact that everyone was very nice that I encountered. I think we lost Mike. Oh, there he is.
I can hear you.
And we got some wonderful feedback, but it was an example of where I'm like, I don't really do parties too well, and I like to make the art. I just like to make the art. Everything else around it is a little strange for me. So, yeah. Yeah,
the social battery. Yes, I understand.
I love the interaction when we get to be on the road and we get to do shows and all of that. I will say that I think Hollywood is a strange beast. So it's it's something I've never quite plugged into.
As I've never been there, all I have to go off is rumors and fiction and what I've heard about it. But so is it? Dare I ask? Are there a lot of as many plastic people as is portrayed in media?
Yes. And there are many real people too. Plastic robots and real people. All of the above. I think no matter where you go, you find your people, right? Like no matter where you live, whether it's in the countryside or a larger city, you find your people, you find your kindred spirits, and those become your heart people and your soul family. So, that's something I've always kind of adhered to. I grew up in a small town in Texas myself. So it was a bit of a culture shock when I first moved here, and I was like, oh, that's what the stories are about.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Was your move to LA because of musical related, or was it another reason?
Yeah. I wanted to find other people to create and collaborate with. And I was dipping my foot into New York, dipping my foot into San Francisco, and dipping my foot into LA. And I found, at least in LA, I was like, there's just so many incredibly talented people and artists that I could collaborate with, and all collected kind of in the same region. and that there's so many amazing pockets like throughout, honestly. But it just happened to be here that I ended up settling. And so, yeah, it's been like all these videos that you've been sharing have been a lot of collaboration between us people in Southern California, a lot of the artists. But, you know, obviously like yourself, we've been able to collaborate with people that are across the pond. So, yeah.
Yes, the magic of networking with technology.
Yes.
But yeah, that's awesome. Some comments from the chat. 24-hour plastic party people. If you ever do a record release party, just roll a big video screen of Tash smiling and waving on a loop.
So I can stay home in my jammies. I love this idea. This is so yes.
Just on a loop, you know. And Raz says, plastic people just started playing in my head then. Yeah, as I was saying it, I realized I was playing the X-RL7 song, Plastic People.
Yes.
Shout out to Michael Joseph, who sings on that track. And you know what? Avi Ghosh does simps on the track as well. So, you know.
Oh, I love that. I love the interconnectedness. That's so cool.
Yeah, man. I used to be a huge fan of Avi back in the day. Defy, his band, back in the days of mp3.com, if you remember that site. Yeah, I've got some really obscure songs of his back in the day. So it was really wild to actually speak to him like over a decade later and, you know, be like, hey, you know, I like your band. And he's a lovely, lovely guy. Yeah. How did you hook up with him, may I ask?
So we were on tour, playing a show in Austin. That's where he is. And his band, Art versus Industry, opened for us. And it was one of those like instant kindred spirit connections. Like, you know, like we were immediate friends. I just had so much to talk about. You know, lots of inspiration abound, you know, when you have those conversations where you're just like super juicy and super charged up and you're like, we need to make all the things. And we've just been friends ever since. So anytime that we have a chance to, we love playing together and creating together. And he's very, very dear friend.
Yeah, he is awesome. And I love his remix of Electrical. Tash, I would like to touch upon one of the newer songs that I think is really cool called The Hollow. It's such a cool track and it's very short, but it's got it's got a really awesome big sound to it. Can you tell us much about The Hollow?
So this was another compilation album that we got asked to be a part of. It was a bunch of Perfect Circle covers. Yeah, and I that's actually not the song I would have picked. But I personally love Passive, like, but that was already picked. And so they gave us a list of songs to pick from. And so, but we were like, The Hollow would be really, really cool to cover. And so, yeah, that was like one of our compilation benefit albums that we were a part of.
I didn't realize it was a cover. Wow. I've not heard the original.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
all the amazing covers of Alice. Well, if you don't mind, I would like to share it with our lovely audience because it's such a great. I'm gonna have to check out the original now, but yeah, I really love your take on the track.
Sexual being, running like a flame, to and through the heart, your conscience, unholy, to cater to the heart, screaming, feed me here, fill me up again, and temporarily pacify this hungry soul. Torpedo crow, dominoes of indiscretions down, falling all around in cycles, in circles, constantly consuming, conquer and devour.
Dad pretty.
Thank you. Yeah,
So
it was very fun. I love Perfect Circle.
see, now that you've said that, I can hear the rhythm of Maynard there, which I don't listen to A Perfect Circle very much, so I'm not too familiar.
So one of my friends that I went to music school with plays bass in Perfect Circle, and I actually sang with him in his project for a couple shows, and so it has a special place in my heart for that reason. I got to watch them as like proud friends. But I love the way Maynard phrases things. He has such an interesting way of phrasing, and his lyric writing is just I'm a huge fan. So.
Yeah, and as you said, you got to use one of a microphone he used before, but that wasn't the end take.
No, I got to use the mic and they just didn't use it because it wasn't, I guess I didn't get captured the way Scott had captured me at the home recording studio. So, yeah.
There is sometimes that magic of the demo, isn't there? That you can't quite replicate for whatever reason. Sometimes not even just the gear; it's just the environment or your headspace. There's something about that moment.
Yeah.
I've got to shout this out. Davina, it really whips the llama's ass, which
Yes.
is well. That's most definitely a reference to Winamp, which I was trying to show on my screen, but I can't now. But I still use Winamp to this day to play my music. For those unaware, when you download Winamp, there's this sample that says Winamp, it really whips the llama's ass. So I assume that's referring to that. Yes, confirmation. Tash, this has been a very wonderful conversation. I always love chatting to you. You're such a wonderful creative soul. And as we're coming up to the 2-hour mark, I'd like to listen to one more song and we'll wrap up this wonderful proceedings. So you've got a new song called Antipop Star. That's pretty cool. But you've got another song called Me and You, which I'm attempting to bring up. And there it is, Me and You. Can you tell us much about this song?
Well, as most of my songs are written when I'm in particular valleys, I think I needed to write a love song to myself. And I think about the fact that so often I speak for myself, but I have a feeling a lot of people can relate to this, that we can be very self-flagellating and really, really hard on ourselves. And so, yeah, I was like, it was one of those things where I was just sort of like, what if like in this very moment that I'm feeling really hard about myself or hard on myself, that I can just simply say that I am enough as is. No need for improvement, no need to try too hard, just to simply say I am enough. I've always loved the idea. Oh, yes. I've liked like when we write to think about things in terms of mantras, and because a mantra is something that you can really bring into your being. And I was like, what if the mantra is simply that I am enough? It's very simple. It also, I was hearing the harmony, so it was like a very harmony. It's a very harmony centric song, but like when I was creating the melodies around it, I was like, I could hear the stack of harmonies around it. So I was like, I hear the 3-part harmonies. The choir background came into play. And actually, I wrote the song in the bathtub. So when you have those beautiful, like echoey reverbies all around you, I was able to kind of like play around with sort of like the idea of like you're swimming in your own sound. So yeah.
That instantly makes me think of when Freddie Mercury wrote a crazy little thing called Love in the bathtub in 5 minutes.
I had no idea.
Apparently it took him all of 5 minutes. Yeah, good track.
I mean, go figure. He's brilliant. He was brilliant.
He is, isn't he? And yeah, some love for the track. This is currently my favorite Alice song. It hit when needed it the most. Real. Short and simple.
I love that.
Let's check out this wonderful track.
Here we are.
Okay, Me and You. that's gorgeous, Tash. Absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Another wonderful, amazing track. You and Alice are ever so talented and ever so authentic and sincere in your music. It's an absolute joy to listen to. And your band is one of those bands that really sort of, you get a band which touches you in the feels and moves you in a particular way and in a deeper way. And Alice does that for me and many others who are in the chat, I'm sure. So thank you for such wonderful music.
Well, thank you. That really means a lot. I feel so grateful and fortunate to be a part of Alice. I will have moments sometimes when we're all playing music together that it takes my breath away. I see everybody just giving so passionately, so deeply from their heart. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing to be able to just be one part of it, in this whole of Alice and everybody, honestly, that is a part of the community is a part of what gives us our breath. So yeah, it's something that I'm truly grateful to be a part of.
Excellent. Yes. Tash, it's been wonderful as we're approaching 2 hours. I don't want to monopolize your time. It's been absolutely wonderful to speak to you and explore the world of Alice. Yeah, you guys are really special. If you haven't heard Antipop Star, check it out, everyone. It's a banger, if I do say so. Alice nailed it. And yeah. So thanks so much for spending your time and energy with me and us today. Do you have any closing comments? And for the uninitiated, where can we find your music and what you're up to next?
Well, first, I wanted to thank you, Mike, for taking the time for all of your incredibly thoughtful questions. Just really thank you so much. Just love the trajectory of our friendship and you as a person and artist, like just an incredible person. So thank you so much for everything you do as well. Very grateful. Thank you so much to everybody for hanging out with us, for your lovely questions and your comments. Such a joy, truly. And where to find us. So all the usual suspects, just remember to say AL1CE. We're on YouTube and Spotify and Bandcamp and all the socials. Just look for Alice with a 1. You can go down the rabbit hole and find us. We have a Facebook group called the Mad Hatter Army. We're doing a contest this week. I made these little boxes that we're going to be having as like a special item just for this tour. So we're going to be giving those away, or one of them away. So yeah, those are some of the places to find us. And please reach out. We also have our Discord. And yeah, we absolutely love being in community. So if any of you would like to connect with us or connect with any of the other wonderful people, please, by all means, come down the rabbit hole and join us.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tash. And thank you for joining us today. See you, Tox, and everyone else. Much love, and we'll speak to you soon. See you guys.
Bye.